Another world championship that is happening at the moment is in football, in where the clubs are concerned, the expanded FIFA Club World Cup, Chuck. And there have already been complaints about the Heat playing like at midday because there's trying to get that European time slot of the Champions League and all of that. But we do have a South African representative in there that is Mamelodi Sundowns, and they are in a group with Fluminense as well as Dortmund as well as, is it Ulsan?
Yes.
From South Korea. And Chuck, the question is, how well do we think Sundowns are going to do in this one? Will they get out of the group stages?
I mean, they're not going to hit 10, right? Like in Auckland City. I mean,
Auckland City is made up of, I don't understand.
But why?
Auckland
Why are
City
they there?
made up of teachers.
But why are they there? Are you telling me the best team in Australia is made up of teachers?
No, man, Chuck. I need to investigate
I
that.
and
because I apologize for not doing so before we recorded because I really needed to find out like in Oceania. Like because you have Auckland City from New Zealand and they are the Champions League winners in that region, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we know like Australia is now in Asia, so their teams are not playing there. But of the teams that are left, like what's happening down there? Like where a team of amateurs who get like thrashed 10, they're the best of what that region is able to offer. No, man.
As I mean, yeah, like Sundowns won't do that bad. At least I don't think so. I don't think it's possible. How well can they actually do against the South American sides? Will be a great test. They won't give us, I think, time on the ball. I think the Asian side.
I love how you say us, Chuck. Continue down that path. Continue down that path.
The South African team.
Yes. It's okay.
It's for the sake of the podcast. Maramina, no.
Hey, don't now change tones.
Because
why so cool so manje?
You should have said to me, Sintwana, you're making a mistake. It is Sundowns.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, getting back to the topic at hand. I think we should get a draw somewhere, somehow. And then somehow if you figure, look, I'm hoping, right? Against the Asian side, Elsen, we get a victory. Against Fluminense, fingers crossed, a draw. Right, but I did say prior in a different conversation that I worry about the fatigue with Mamelodi Sundowns because they played a long season. They just concluded now the CAF Champions League. They now flew to America, more miles in terms of the legs, jet lag, whatnot. Obviously, they've acclimatized, but hard conditions yet again. And this is an important competition where everyone's brought their big guns. So I tend to wonder in terms of will they bring the intensity, but maybe because it's a once in a lifetime or once in 4 years kind of thing, they'll bring it. So how do I think they'll fare, Jay? I think 4 points. 4 points gets you in and around chances of qualification. I'm hoping for 4 points, but I think there's a draw somewhere in there. If not against Ulsan, at the very least against Fluminense. Dortmund, I'm a bit more skeptical in terms of can they do something there. But yeah, Jay, if they get 4 points, fantastic. If they get just the one, I mean, we've seen with previous not Club World Cups, but with previous before that
Club World Cup.
Oh, it's just expanded. Yeah. Now more grand. Okay, we've seen in prior competitions where they've done a bit worse than what I've expected. Because I think to myself, Asian sides sometimes should do good, and they don't. And then sometimes they didn't even qualify to get to play against the South American side. So for me, well, sometimes we've gone to one of these things. But for me, Jay, that's why I can say we tend to think sometimes that South African teams are better than Asian teams according to the eye test. Until they get there, then you realize it's a bit harder than what you thought. So for me, at the very least, they draw against Ulsan. At the best, they beat Ulsan and draw against Fluminense, and that should be good enough to maybe qualify.
Watch Musa Lebusa pocket Guirassi there against Dortmund, Chuck, and put the world at notice that the great boys of Shushan and Piano are here. Not to just make up the numbers, but
when Fistin was there, what did they do?
Like Fistin did nothing except for Kekana giving him an assist. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
Okay.
Guirassi will be pocketed there. There's nothing that these Germans are going to do. You're Bayern Munich. But Chuck, I generally do believe Sundowns can get out of the group stages. It's going to be tough, right? It is going to be tough. When you think of the opposition, you've got Dortmund. Dortmund won their last 5 games in the Bundesliga to make it to 4th place and qualify for the Champions League, the UEFA Champions League once again. but they've not been vintage in the sense that the last 2 seasons, at least, they've not been the challenges we've come to know them to be to Bayern Munich. We know Bayer Leverkusen went invincible 2 seasons ago, and then the previous season, Bayern Munich got back to the top of the Bundesliga. And on both occasions, Dortmund weren't really there. You know, the last time we saw them challenge for the Bundesliga was that disaster on the last day where they just had to win and they win the Bundesliga, but then they couldn't do that. But then we've seen them go to the Champions League final in recent times, and you can make the argument that they were on the easier side of the draw there. So it's not vintage Dortmund. You know, it's not the team coached by Klopp or Lewandowski's there. Or your who's the player signed for Manchester United, the Japanese
Kagawa.
You know, it's not that team. So there's an opportunity, you know. In the case of Fluminense had they became famous, right, when they were coached by Diniz, and for the relational football, that term came into the terminology of like the technocrats, and they won the Libertadores, you know, for the first time in their history. But then he didn't have a good start to the next season. He was fired, and now they're also on a 4-game winning streak to get back into the top 6. So also not it's not Santos, you know. It's not like a team steeped in the greatest of history at this level, but they've been to a Club World Cup final as well. So nothing to turn your eyes against, you know. Like they should be dangerous as well. But I think they can get got, Chuck. And then you've got like the 3-time defending South Korean champions, you know, and they've been great the last 5 years. They've been the dominant team in South Korea. They've won the Champions League, of course, twice. I think first time in 2012 and then the second time in 2020. So not in the last like 5 years. And they've started the season slowly as well. They're in the middle of their season, like Fluminense, in the top 3, I believe. But as I'm saying, they are the 3-time defending champions of South Korea. So they're the dominant side over there. So I look at the teams, and it's not the best that any of these regions have to offer. So as a result, I do think Sundowns have a chance. Are they favorites to get out of the group? No, of course they're not. But yeah, as Ronan Williams said, that what they want to do, they want to get there and they want to play the football. They don't want to suddenly shrink in the face of international opposition. They want to test themselves against the best and come out on top. And I think they can do that to the tune of qualifying out of the group stages.
I think it'll be very hard, Jay, because I mean, I'm thinking in terms of
it's the World Cup. Last time I saw, it's the World Cup.
True. Last time I saw, or rather, when I've seen Sundowns struggles against organized team, and I think there might be a variance in terms of talent and individual star quality. But all these teams that you listed, they have some sort of discipline and some sort of shape in terms of their shoot, and so will Sundowns then be able to play?
Any parking of buses? They will not. I don't know. I don't imagine
Both
any of
Sundowns
these teams
play. Yeah, because I mean,
will be playing low blocks against Sundowns, which will give Sundowns an opportunity.
In the last 2 games, right? Maybe Pyramids had a bit of a low block in the second half of the second leg, but in the first leg, it was an open match, and I thought to myself, Sundowns should play better, but they didn't quite come to the party, and that's my concern. That's my only concern. But if it was vintage Sundowns against, like I said, the Magesis and the Arrows of this world, okay, if they play that football, they definitely have a shout. But we never know until we get there, Jay. I think there's a chance. But yeah, our Palmeiras and Bolson, they're still within their leagues. Okay, that for me changes the picture a bit in terms of it becomes even more harder because they are within the rhythm. They have the momentum. They are fresher than Sundowns. So see what happens there, Jay. So
yeah, that is actually a good point, Chuck, because the Brazilian team as well as the South Korean team, they are in the middle of their season, right? Whereas Dortmund, like Sundowns, they finished their season and they've had a break and now are coming back. So that's going to be interesting in terms of how that affects the teams.